Welcome to what is going to be a preliminary look at some basic foot strokes. Later on in this series, we will get quite a bit more in depth with the feet. But at this point, as I connect back to the very first lesson that had to do with proper sitting, I can't stress enough how important sitting properly is to the idea of the free movement of your feet on both pedals, the bass drum and the hi-hat. So having said that, I'm going to demonstrate some strokes that I utilize in my playing, as well as some strokes that I don't utilize but are commonly used. So let's begin with the bass drum and then we'll move to the hi-hat. The way I began playing the bass drum was heel down. So it's very simple. The idea is that the entire foot stays on the pedal board and we use our ankle and calf muscles to direct the beater into the head. Eventually, it seemed like it was too hard to do all of the things that I wanted to do, whether it was in terms of power or speed, by playing only heel down. So my first teacher, Miroslav Kadlovic, who has been mentioned more than once, taught me this hybrid combination of playing, which people generally refer to as heel-toe. So since I started working on heel-toe, obviously I had one segment of that because one of those two hits is a regular heel-down stroke. But what's become my basic stroke since is the following. The foot is flat. I lift the heel, but not through my thigh or the hips, only using the power from below the knee. I lift my heel and I come down with a heel and I create a single hit. So that is what I call my basic stroke. Because when I play a regular beat, that's the stroke I use. I wouldn't be, unless I'm playing very quietly, I wouldn't be playing with my heel down. So that is the basic stroke. The other stroke in the combination is the heel down stroke. So basically then we begin combining these strokes to get this heel toe or seesaw technique. We used to call it seesaw back home. So the idea is I do a basic stroke and then a heel down stroke. The very important thing to remember is that it's, heel toe is a bit of a misnomer because if you go to the heel and just do this, there's obviously nothing there or just a lot of floor and maybe some movement of the beater. So even though it's very descriptive, you're moving, one stroke moves towards the heel, the other one moves to the toes, but actually it's a pivot. The strokes end up being felt in the middle of my foot in both directions. So the idea of moving towards the heel or towards the toes is a momentum giver, but the strokes are actually felt in the middle of the foot in both directions. So the last technique I'll discuss just briefly is the idea of playing heel up. It's very common and some great drummers use it. I've never really been a big fan of that because it supposes some constant tension in the upper leg. Like I said, some of my favorite drummers use it and have gotten wonderful results with it. So I don't mean to demean the technique. Like I said, capable drummers have used it and have done beautiful musical things with the technique, but I tend to stay away from it. However, this gives me a good segue to the hi-hat. I also began playing the hi-hat heel down but eventually realized that save for a few things, the heel down technique on the hi-hat wasn't really that useful. So I began using a heel upstroke. So when I play the hi-hat, my heel is generally in the air. But even though it is in the air, I'm very aware of not burdening my thigh or my hips. So the way I lift the heel off the foot plate is by using the power from below my knee. So if I'm playing swing, oops, there was a splash. I didn't plan on doing that, but that was a pretty good segue to that. Another possibility with the hi-hat is the creation of a splash stroke. So that sounds significantly different from either the heel down or heel upstroke, in as much as that you have a sustained note. And there are different ways of using this. You can actually play, you can play it in rhythms. In fact, here I'll show sort of an advanced application of this. By using the splash and the closed hi-hat sounds, I can create groups of 2 or 3 notes. So basically I can create a 5-note grouping. And I know this is kind of early in the game, but I'm gonna play a beat in 3/4 from one of my songs. It's called We'll See by the band Sveti. And basically I'll be playing a 3/4 groove that has a backbeat on 3. And while I'm playing that, I will be playing a 5-note superimposition with my left foot, alternating between splash strokes and heel upstrokes. So like I said, that was somewhat of an advanced application. Nevertheless, it got the point across about the splash on the hi-hat and utilizing it. So now that we've seen all these strokes that I use on the bass drum and hi-hat pedal, even though, and albeit through quite an advanced application, I promised in the following lessons we will go through some advanced stuff with a little more of in-depth explanation. For now that we have our strokes both up and down, so to speak, both with hands and the feet, we can move to this, to what is my favorite warm-up, 4-way coordination warm-up that I often use before I begin practicing. See you in the next lesson.